They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but I served mine wrapped in gold ribbon on New Year's Day. Let me tell you how a simple quilt became the thread that unraveled 30 years of taking my kindness for weakness. My name is Eleanor Vance, and at 69, I thought I knew everything about love, sacrifice, and family. I was wrong about so many things, but I was absolutely right about one. Some gifts can never be returned. When my husband Arthur passed 5 years ago, I made what I thought was a generous decision. Ethan, my only child, was struggling financially. His marketing career had hit bumps. And Jessica, his wife of 3 years, was spending money faster than he could earn it on her influencer lifestyle. So I offered them our home rent-free while I moved to a small apartment downtown. That first mistake cost me more than money. It cost me my sense of home. Within 6 months, Jessica had gutted everything that made the house ours. The built-in bookshelves Arthur crafted were ripped out for open-concept living. The wallpaper we chose together disappeared under stark white paint. Even Arthur's 20-year garden was replaced with decorative stones. I bit my tongue through each transformation, telling myself, young people had different tastes. When they never invited me for dinner, I made excuses. When Jessica stopped calling me Mom, I pretended not to notice the growing distance. For 4 years, I watched my home become a showpiece for Jessica's social media empire. Every room was photographed and displayed online as proof of their success. The kitchen, where I taught Ethan to bake, became a backdrop for sponsored content. The living room where we played board games was now sterile space, arranged for Instagram appeal. I should have spoken up when they treated me like an unwelcome visitor in my own house. But I held my tongue because I believed love meant acceptance without conditions. I spent 3 months working on that Christmas quilt. Every evening, I sat with fabric pieces that told our family's story. A square from my wedding dress, ivory silk, yellowed with age. A piece from Arthur's firefighter uniform, navy blue wool that still smelled faintly of smoke. Fragments from Ethan's baby blanket, soft yellow cotton, printed with tiny ducks. Each stitch was a prayer, each pattern a memory. This quilt would tell them that family was about stories we shared, love we inherited, and legacy we passed down. On Christmas morning, their house sparkled with professionally installed lights, a 12-foot tree, and decorations that cost more than most people's cars. Jessica had hired caterers, a photographer, and someone to coordinate gift opening for social media documentation. I felt like an actress who had forgotten her lines in someone else's play. When gift opening time arrived, Jessica orchestrated it like a corporate presentation. Designer handbags, expensive jewelry, luxury getaways. Then, Ethan handed Jessica my humble package wrapped in simple brown paper with red ribbon. The silence that followed felt like the moment between lightning and thunder. Jessica held the quilt at arm's length, her smile never wavering, but her eyes going cold. Oh, a blanket. How very thrifty. The words landed like slaps. Instead of setting the quilt aside respectfully, Jessica made a show of examining it closer, holding it up for everyone to see while making a face like she smelled something unpleasant. My goodness, is this handmade? That must have taken forever. I guess when you have a lot of time on your hands. The room erupted in uncomfortable laughter. Chloe, Jessica's sister, stage whispered that I must be having financial difficulties to resort to making gifts instead of buying them. But it was Ethan's response that broke something fundamental inside me. Mom, you know we prefer a more modern aesthetic. Those 8 words erased 37 years of motherhood. Jessica dropped my quilt into the dog's toy basket, like something the pet had chewed up. The laughter that followed was sharp and mean. I excused myself to the kitchen, where I heard Jessica talking to her sister in voices they thought were private. I cannot believe she actually made us a blanket. What is this? The 1950s? Next year, she'll probably give us a framed photograph. At least we could hide that in the attic. The casual cruelty struck me like a physical blow. This was deliberate meanness from people who had decided my feelings didn't matter. The next morning, I asked Ethan to meet for coffee. The conversation lasted 20 minutes and destroyed any remaining illusions about our relationship. When I tried to explain how hurt I felt, he dismissed my feelings as oversensitivity. "You gave us that house, Mom. We didn't ask for it, but we took responsibility for it. We're the ones who improved it, who made it worth something." The ingratitude was breathtaking. 4 years of free housing, mortgage payments I continued making, property taxes and insurance I covered while they redecorated, all reframed as a burden they had graciously accepted. 3 days later, they appeared at my apartment with flowers and rehearsed apologies, but they revealed the real reason for their visit. They needed me to co-sign a loan for a luxury car. With the house as collateral, the bank would approve them immediately. The audacity was complete. They had humiliated me at Christmas, dismissed my hurt feelings, and now wanted to leverage my generosity for financial benefit. I told them I needed time to think about it. That evening, I remembered something Arthur used to say: "Never let disrespect go unanswered, Eleanor. It only invites more contempt." I called George Tillman, Arthur's best friend and our family lawyer. George confirmed I had every right to evict them with 30 days' notice. More importantly, he helped me understand this was about teaching two adults that actions have consequences. I told Ethan and Jessica I would give them my answer on New Year's Day. I spent the week carefully planning what would happen next. I bought expensive gold foil wrapping paper and tied it with a wide ribbon. Inside, I placed the eviction notice George had prepared, along with a letter I wrote until every word carried exactly the weight I intended. January 2nd arrived gray and cold. Ethan and Jessica were waiting with barely contained excitement, clearly having spent the week planning how to spend the money they expected to borrow. "I have thought very carefully about your request," I said, setting the beautifully wrapped package on their table. "And this is my answer." They tore into the wrapping like children, their faces bright with anticipation. I watched their expressions change as they processed the official letterhead, the legal language, the 30-day timeline. Jessica screamed first. "You cannot do this! This is our home." Ethan stared at the papers. "After everything we've done for this house, what you did to this house was erase its history. What you did to me was show me exactly how little I matter to you. This is not cruelty. This is consequence. That quilt was a gift from the heart, and you threw it away. This eviction notice is a gift from the law, and you cannot return it. You have 30 days. The next 3 weeks were a masterclass in watching people discover the world doesn't owe them comfort when they've built their lives on someone else's foundation. They tried securing housing that matched their previous standard, but discovered their credit wasn't as solid as they believed. On the final day, Ethan came to my apartment alone, looking tired and defeated. "Why, Mom?" "I did this because you forgot the difference between a gift and an entitlement. You forgot that this house was built with love and sacrifice, not demands and expectations. I hope now you'll learn to build something of your own, on a foundation of respect." The morning they moved out, I stood across the street and watched them load expensive possessions they had accumulated during their rent-free years. I felt no satisfaction, but something more valuable: peace. Later that week, I walked through the empty house and began reclaiming not just the space, but the memories they had tried to erase. Arthur's chair went back by the fireplace. Our wedding photo returned above the mantel. The quilt found its rightful place draped over the couch. 6 months later, I hosted a dinner party with real friends who valued connection over content. As we sat telling stories and laughing about memories spanning decades, I realized this was what I had been missing during those 4 years of silence and accommodation. A year has passed since that Christmas morning. Ethan sends occasional text messages, testing whether time has softened my resolve. I respond politely but briefly, making it clear that reconciliation requires acknowledgement and change. This Christmas morning, I will wake up in my own house, surrounded by decorations that tell my story, rather than performing someone else's narrative. The quilt will catch the morning light, reminding me that some gifts are too precious to waste on people who cannot appreciate their value. At 69, I learned the most important lesson of my life. Standing up for yourself is not selfish. Setting boundaries is not mean. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is refuse to enable someone's worst behavior. That beautifully wrapped eviction notice was not revenge. It was education, delivered in the only language they seemed capable of understanding. It was my declaration of independence from a relationship that had stopped serving anyone involved. The house is quiet now, but not empty. It is full of memories worth preserving, peace worth protecting, and self-respect worth more than all the expensive decorations Jessica ever bought with money she never earned. Sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is the knowledge that you are worth more than someone else's convenience, and the courage to act on that knowledge, even when it costs you everything you thought you wanted to keep. They thought my kindness was weakness, but they were wrong. My kindness was strength held in reserve, waiting for the moment when I would need it most. That moment was when I finally understood that the people worth loving are the ones who love you back with the same intensity, respect, and gratitude you bring to them.